So tell me about yourself. Your name and your role in the slime.
Okay, my name is Chuck Sellers, and I'm the band director, the head band director for Salina City Schools, and I've been here for 28 years.
Now, you're not originally from Salina, right?
No, I'm originally from Cincinnati.
Now, what brought you here?
This job, when I finished graduate school, one of the two, there were two band directors here before me that were brothers, and when the older one retired, the younger one's son was in the marching band at Miami, where I was the graduate assistant for the marching band, which means that I was like one of the assistant directors of the marching band, and then I also taught like athletic bands. I was the head director of the winter athletic bands. I taught some other courses in music education and so on. And when I finished my master's, about that time is when Bob Lorridge, who was the band director who retired here, was wrapping up his last year, and they, Salina was interviewing for his replacement, and Scott, the kid that was the son of the other band director, told his dad, "Hey, you need to get Chuck, have him interview," and so he contacted Boyd. The other band director contacted Miami's head band director. We knew him because of his son being in band there, and put him in touch with me and said, hey, you need to get up here and interview. So I did, and I got the job. So that's how I ended up here.
Cool. How has band changed in the past 30 years?
Well, a lot. Just like Salina has changed, the town has changed, and as changes in education have taken place, all of that has had a huge impact on what we do and what we're able to do. When I got here, Salina High School was 1,250 kids, about 310 in a graduating class. Now it's, what do we have, 160-ish maybe in a graduating class. So Salina's a lot smaller, the school is a lot smaller. The number of kids enrolled in the whole district is smaller. A lot of changes have taken place in education and in the funding of our schools and everything else over the last 28 or 30 years. And all those things have affected, how our program's scheduled and staffed. For example, when I got here, we team taught the whole program, meaning that there was, from 7th grade on, there were always two of us teaching any given class at any given time. One of us would be the head band director for that particular class, and the other one would be the assistant. And so, when I first started here, I had 7th and 8th grade band and was the head marching band director. And then the other band director was my assistant for those classes, and then he was the head concert band or symphonic band director and the head jazz band director, and I was his assistant for those classes, which enabled us to do a lot of individual one-on-one and small group teaching and sectionals and things like that on the daily basis. And then at that time, beginning bands were split up between the three elementaries. The 5th and 6th grade building, the intermediate school, didn't exist yet. And we had those in very small groups. So we didn't team teach those, but I taught at West and Franklin, and he taught at East. And I might have a class of maybe, at West, I might have a class of 5 or 6 or 8 kids at a time, on a rotating basis over there. So those were very small groups to begin with, so I could give a lot of personalized one-on-one group instruction. And at Franklin, of course, Franklin was tiny, so I might have 6 kids in a whole grade level in band over there. But again, they need lots of individual attention, could help the kids be successful from the very beginning. And then we team taught everything 7 through 12. Now we have one teacher teaching 60 or 80 beginners at a time over at the intermediate school at each grade level, so maybe 60 kids by herself on a rotation. Also, we saw the kids more frequently in those days. At the beginning band level, we saw them every other day, actually 3 days a week, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, depending on the rotation schedule. whereas now they only see them every third school day, which means like if you have band on a Thursday, you may not have band again until the following Tuesday or Wednesday. If there's a day off, kind of a thing. So the kids get less time in the 5th and 6th grade than they ever did before, and less attention. And then I teach 7 through 12 by myself, all of the major performing groups, and there's like no opportunity for built into the class for any kind of individual or small group attention other than what I can have people, students help each other from time to time. But so yeah, it's changed a lot. It's a lot harder now than it was then, and it's it's an entirely different situation. As our school situation, our funding has become less and less. Not the band program necessarily, but just the district as a whole. Our money spread thinner and thinner. 30 years ago, we didn't have College Credit Plus, for example. And kids came to school for an entire school day. They had 7 periods of classes, or 8 actually in those days, 8 periods of classes. And then at one point, 9 periods of classes. And they might have a study hall here or there, but they were in school from 7:25 until 2:20, taking classes. And that was really that and TriStar were the only 2 paths to get through high school. Now we have College Credit Plus, we have TriStar in a whole separate building. You can use your part-time job to get credits towards graduation. You can do whatever all the different, I can never remember what all the different seals are, but there's like 1,000 paths to graduate from high school, and only one of them really is conducive to participating in band and all the music courses that we offer. So yeah, it's just a whole different thing now.
So speaking of students, do you have any like memorable ones?
I have tons of memorable students, of all different kinds. I have former students whose kids call me Grandpa Chuck because they're still in touch with me, and they met in band. We have lots and lots of Salina band couples out there who have been married a long time and have kids, and that's really cool to see. And it kind of shows you what the impact. One of the ways band has an impact on kids is the relationships they form, and sometimes the futures they build together that are a direct result of that, and not just in that way. I mean, we have kids out there that are professional musicians, performers, teachers. I have former students that in every walk of life, and all of I remember, lots of them are very memorable for different reasons. Experiences I had with them while they were in school, things they've done since school. Some of them are on the faculty here. Some of them, teach elsewhere and are professional colleagues. There's tons and tons of memorable students.
And I guess going along with that, do you have any favorite memories?
Sure. Again, it has to do more with as much with the personal relationships for me, primarily the personal relationships that I've developed with former students and students while they were in school and students since they graduated, that are the most memorable and rewarding for me, as well as the ones that are based on music. To see some of my students go out and be really successful musicians and achieve things that are way bigger than anything I could have ever dreamed of, is certainly, that's rewarding too, to know that, and for them to come back and tell me, that I had a big hand in that, is that's huge,
So you mentioned band has impacted the kids.
Yeah.
But how would you say band has impacted the community?
Well, we're an important part of just about any major community event here. And that's one of the nice things about being a band director in a small town, is that every time there's, a veterans event or, a big celebration like the Lake Festival or, a large occasion that the community wants to mark as a whole, more often than not, and almost, most of the time, the band's involved in some way. The community wants the band to be involved in that. So the community at large, sees us as an important part of the things that they do, and within our school community, in years when our football team has gone, 1 win or 2 wins in a season, it's the band that's always there cheering them on, even when the rest of the stadium is not particularly full when we're on a road game or whatever. That's an important role that we play. And it's, while certainly music is worthy of study for its own sake, and it's an important part of the human condition. It's one of the things that every civilization from the beginning of time that we know of has had music in some form as a central part of what human beings do and create. And so, to study that is to study the understanding of, humanity itself and the study of music's role in any society and in any community is important to do for its own purposes, but it's intertwined with any community, whether you're talking about a small town or civilization at large. It's inseparable from being human.
Yeah. And lastly, what do you plan on doing when you retire?
That's a good question. It's one I ask myself a lot these days, because it's not, it's 4 years away or so. There are days, when I'm on my way home, from work, and I go, maybe I won't retire in 4 years. Maybe I'll be, maybe I'll go a couple more beyond that if I can, physically. Because certainly, it's, being a musician and being a teacher is kind of central to who I am, and I still love teaching, and I still love my students, and I still love doing this. But by the same token, would I like to spend more time performing, and when I don't have to worry about, I would love to. I play, part-time in a rock band right now. Would I love to do more of that and devote myself to being I play bass guitar at the moment. I'm what they call a multi-instrumentalist, which means I can do a lot of things in a semi-competent fashion, but none of them awesome. So would I like to spend time working on bass, for example, and becoming a real bass player, just for my own amusement, as opposed to somebody who just, okay, we need a bass player, I can kind of do that, yeah, I would love to do that. I'd love to study jazz saxophone more. That's something I never got to do. I've always said that I could use 5 lifetimes to do all the different things that I want to do in music, and take each one to be good at something else. So, yeah, I would like to explore those things. Certainly I would like to travel. It's getting harder and harder to afford that, but I'll also enjoy, I would also enjoy not having to get up and go to work every morning and being able to just decide on any given day that, maybe I'll just take the boat out and go on the lake today, or and hang out, or just enjoy nature, or the different things that I like to do. Spend more time with friends. My best friends, one of them is a band director himself, and I'm very close to him and his whole family. He's another person who's whose grandchildren call me Grandpa Chuck. You know, I would like to spend more time with people like that I'm close to that, you know, I can't do because there's always something band going on, you know. So I don't know, you know, we'll see when the time comes. They always say that you shouldn't retire from something, you should retire to something. And I haven't decided what that to is going to look like. Sometimes I think I would just like to work in a marina, one of the marinas, and sweep the floors and, you know, and sell boats, you know, for a while, because that's one of my hobbies and it's something I really like. And, you know, so, you know, I'll definitely probably work part-time, both out of necessity and just because I want to, you know, to sit around and do nothing, you know, is not my idea of, you know, of a life. I want to be doing something and something meaningful, you know. So I don't know what that's going to be yet, but, you know, we'll see, you know.
Well, great. Thanks.
Okay.